Welcome to our Clientbook webinar. Today we have two very special guests. We got Ryan and Brandon. I'll go ahead and introduce themselves here in a minute, but I'm excited for everyone to kind of join in and talk a little bit about how we can conquer this holiday season. We want you guys to have the most successful Q4 possible. So excited to have these two heavy hitters here to kind of talk about that. But some ground rules first before we kind of kick into it and let Ryan and Brandon take over. I just wanted to mention down at the bottom of your screen, you'll notice there's a Q&A section. The Q&A down there, if you have any questions, please utilize that field and ask questions throughout the presentation, but we'll definitely have a Q&A at the end to answer any of your burning questions that you may have that comes from this webinar. So please don't hesitate to throw those questions in there. But no, at the end of the webinar, we're going to have a section about 10-15 minutes to answer your burning questions. But I think we're good. We got a good crowd already in here, ready to go. I'm sure more will trickle in, but let's go ahead and get started. I guess Ryan, Brandon, if you guys want to kick things off and introduce yourself first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, awesome. I'll start with my introduction here. So I'm Brandon Wright. I'm CEO and one of the co-founders here at Clientbook. I've kind of shared my story in the past, and as customers, maybe you've heard it before, but started my career in retail, worked strategy at Target headquarters. After doing that, started another tech business and really came into Clientbook when I saw an opportunity with brick and mortar retailers, especially jewelry stores, to be able to build stronger relationships with their clients. And so the whole purpose, when I started Clientbook, the whole purpose of Clientbook was to be able to help retailers like yourself to be able to build on those relationships, get customers back in the store buying from you again and again and again. Because I truly do believe that your competitive advantage as one of your as a local brick and mortar retailer is the fact that you have relationships in the community, you have relationships with the people around you. And I do believe that you should be leaning into that. And so that's one of the reasons why I started Clientbook. So that's me.
And good afternoon, everybody. Ryan Blumenthal, the CRO at Clientbook, but as most of you know, lifelong retailer, grew up in a retail family, have owned and operated Korean Jewelers in New Jersey for the last 20 years. And Brandon and I met each other 5.5, 6 years ago, as he was first coming into the jewelry business with this great app that he had created with our other co-founder. And I found something that connected with me as soon as I saw it, because I was such a big believer in clienteling, that was the focus of my business. And I had always looked for technology tools that could help me with that, and found it with what Brandon had created, and kind of instantly became friends and partners, and started trying to get this in the hands of as many retailers as possible. And excited to be here with you today, because as you could see with our funny pictures, we're focused on the holidays and it's time to go. And it's an exciting time of year for everybody on this webinar. And I think we have some things that could help. So let's get fired away. Agenda that we have today is we're going to talk about personalization when that comes to clienteling. If you've heard us talk recently, it's not about the number necessarily of reach outs, but the quality. And that's what we want to spend some time on. And then Brandon's going to talk about, what we're doing as a company to embrace AI, because we feel like that is going to help us get there in a really great, impactful way for retail jewelry stores. And part 3 is the impact that we've seen in this technology, because we've been at this for a while. We rolled out some packages earlier this year with AI insights, and now we have some really cool data to look at. And as Josh said, At the end, please enter in your questions throughout the presentation. I'm sure we're running around 30 minutes or so, and then we'll get to your questions at the end. So anything about AI in general, or what we're doing, or the plan for the holidays, we want your questions. So let's talk about the current state a little bit, about why do we care about this stuff? You are sitting in your business, as I am today, laser focused on the next month and a half of business, and your anxiety's through the roof. And did I do everything that I need to do to put the store in position to be successful this year? And what else needs to happen? Well, let's talk about sales associate behavior over the next couple of weeks. I think that the marketing is kind of booked at this point, I'd imagine, in your stores. And what do you need to do with your team to get them pushing out best practices in clienteling every day to get more people into the store? And that's exactly why we do this. Why we try so hard to get personalization to connect with our clients is the more that you do that, the more traffic is going to increase as you go through this holiday season. Don't wait until the end to do this. Start now. Get your team reaching out in a meaningful way, and you will see traffic start to build. And the reason we want this kind of traffic, even though new customers are great and we need to have them, but we know that our customers that have experience with us so far and our repeat customers, their conversion is at a minimum double that of a new customer in your store. So what's conversion, right? They come in and are you getting, I'm going to think about it, let me go to a couple different places. You don't really get that with your own clientele that much, right? You get a very high conversion rate when your best customers come in. So let's make sure we see them this holiday. And then average ticket increases substantially versus new customers. Why? Because they trust you. You know, you've already introduced them to a lot of different departments in your store. Maybe it's time that they're going to step up and buy that higher ticket item. So we see these three things as mission critical for the next couple of weeks, right? What's your traffic? What did it convert at? And what was the ticket? And if you're happy with all these three things at the end of Christmas or the holiday season, likely you're going to be happy with the end number. But I wanted to show some examples of what I've seen in my own store when it comes to clienteling and outreach, and have had the benefit of kind of having a front row seat to Clientbook being used in over 1,300 stores now. And so, Josh, if you go to the next slide here, I want to take a look at, what does reach out look like? And we're showing SMS here because not only Clientbook is optimized for SMS, but I think we would all agree that nobody really picks up their phone anymore. Everybody wants to text, and that's what our sales associates in our stores are probably doing because they can't get people on the phone. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it is an opportunity to say, what does that look like? Because we want a response, right? So, and these are examples from real life out there of what we see. So I'm going to mark the first one as bad here, of come shop this holiday with us, 50% off. If this just gets blasted onto people's phones, there's no personalization. They probably know it's a mass text, and you will see a very mediocre response from your customer base when you see when a text goes out like that. And it's because there's no personalized to it. They don't feel the need to respond to it. And the next one we have here is, hey, Ryan, come in and see our holiday deals. Well, at least you didn't use my name, right? So there's a little bit of personalization in here. I might say something. But the last one, this is the gold. This is where we want to get all of our sales associates to. So this one says, hey, Ryan, hope your wife liked that ruby necklace this summer. We have a matching bracelet that would be perfect this holiday season. Would you like to come in and see it? Now, if you're a team member on this call or a store owner, you're probably looking at that saying, yeah, that is likely a more personalized way to reach out to somebody. And this would get a much higher response than the other two here because you really took the time to personalize this reach out to me. I mean, at a minimum, I'm going to say, oh, thanks for thinking of me. Yeah, we'll see. But I'm going to respond to it. And if you do this holiday season, this example of great, if you show this to your sales associates and challenge them to say, how many of these are you going to do a day? And can we commit that we're not going to do the first two, but we're rather going to do this? And you do that now through the holidays, you're going to have more people in your store than you otherwise would. And that's why I feel it's so important that we talk to you about this today. And the the reason we need to apply technology to this is really hard. Like that the level of personalization that is in that text, what would that require in a normal instance, right? Would that require a report from your point of sale? Would that require you making sure that you have it tagged properly in Clientbook, or a to-do associated with that client? There's a whole lot of work that a sales associate would need to do and a whole lot that a manager would need to do in order to accomplish this. And even if you did all those things, I wonder how many could you actually get done in a given day during your busy time. And that's why we want to talk to you about AI insights and how we arrive at this. And this is where I'm going to hand it over to Brandon here so he could talk about what we've done at Clientbook to tackle this problem.
Yeah, talking about what Ryan mentioned there, I used to really promote this idea that there is a scale or a spectrum of personalization on one side and scalability on the other side. And you just need to decide where in that spectrum you want to be. So on one side, you can be 100% personal. You pull out your phone, you manually type in a text, you go and look up the information, you go send it to that one person, but that's not really scalable, not super scalable. On the other side, you could be really scalable and send out a MailChimp email to all of your customers, and it's not super personal. And I think one of the reasons we're so excited about AI at Clientbook is because that scale kind of goes away. So with Clientbook or with AI, you can be both very personal and do it at scale, which is super exciting. And so how are we doing it at Clientbook? Well, we have something called AI Insights. And we'll talk about what AI Insights looks like in your app here in just a second and what it does specifically. But behind the scenes, it's pulling in all this information that we think is critical that you would do manually if you were just, going through it yourself, but maybe you don't even recognize that you're doing it. But by pulling all this information together, then we can drive the AI to push great recommendations to you and to your sales staff. So that information is coming from your point of sale data, it's coming from message history, and it's coming from client details. And it's merging all of that information together and looking through it and searching through it and serving up a recommendation of a customer saying, hey, this customer, I believe, is ready to purchase right now. Or here's a customer, they may not be ready to purchase, but it's a good time for you to reach out and just continue building that relationship with them right now. And it's doing all of this and then serving it up for you. So Josh, could we go to the next slide? So in the app, it's literally just a little icon down at the bottom, lets you know if you have an insight available, and it pops up. And really what it's doing is it's telling you who to contact and when to reach out. And then it even recommends what you could say. And there's so many different reasons why it's populating these customers, but these recommendations have been super powerful. So let's go through a few examples. Josh, you mind going to the next slide here? One of the things that it does is it focuses on your customers that are the highest priority right now. So in this situation, here, this example, it's keep things warm with Joe. Joe's one of your top clients at your store, but they haven't had any contact recently. So let's nurture that relationship. And then it's going to recommend a message. It says, Joe, just thinking of you today. Hope you're doing well. How are Emily and the kids? I'd love to catch up on things. So in this situation, it may not be saying, hey, Joe's ready to purchase right now, but it's good. Let's stay in touch with Joe. He's been a top client of yours. He's been spending a lot of money. And here's a real easy way to reach out. And it's pulling all this information, so it's giving itself context to be able to recommend that message. And one of the things that we believe at Clientbook, AI is great, but if you let AI just run on its own, run recklessly, it's going to be saying things and doing things that you don't approve of. So the way that we've built our AI into Clientbook is it recommends and then you approve. So in this situation, it would pop up with Joe. It would pop up with the message. You could go change it. You could adjust it if you need to. You could pull up some more information on Joe right there with the click of a button to be able to get some more context for yourself. And then when you're ready, you hit the send button. You could regenerate the message if you feel like it's not accurate, or retype it yourself, or even change a word or two. Josh, why don't we go to the next slide for another example? So in this situation, it's recognizing that Trina is slipping away. So she typically buys on a regular cadence, and it's been longer than that cadence since she's been in and made a purchase. So it's recommending a message that says, hey, Trina, Sam from Clientbook, how are you? I saw something today that reminded me of the beautiful necklace you picked out in February. Let me know if you want to take a look. So this is maybe a little bit more prompting for a sale, because it's recognizing, hey, what's going on with Trina? She's normally in every so often, and now let's get her back into the store, because it's been more than her typical purchase frequency. And these are all things, yeah, could you go pull a report and look at purchase frequency and try to figure out which customers you haven't seen in a while? Definitely, you could go do all of these things, but AI is doing this for you and for your sales staff and your sales team in the background. One of the things that we're really excited that we're launching is integrations into some of the brands and vendors that you sell. So we're currently live with one brand, which is Takori, and we're in beta with some others right now, but we're very excited to be pushing this out. And why does this apply? Well, here with AI, what AI is doing is recommending the customer, and it's recommending the message. With our integrations with the brands, now we're also recommending the product that you could recommend for that customer. So for example, if you had a customer, John, let's say, that bought an engagement ring in the past, now it's going to remind you to reach out about wedding bands, and it's even going to show you matching wedding bands that go along with the engagement ring that John bought, that you can go ahead and attach to the message and send that out. In addition to the AI parts, you're also getting the product catalog and of the vendors that you sell. And so with that product catalog, you're getting the great images that the brands are sharing with you, all their professional images and photography that they're taking of the items. You're getting the full product catalog, as well as additional information if your sales staff needs it for those items. So it's a great way to integrate what AI is doing, but also throwing in the recommendations that can come from having a full product catalog from your vendors. I mentioned this already a little bit before, right? But AI isn't just automating things. AI is driving true action for your staff and for you and your team. If it does prompt something that you are looking at and you're like, you know what? I have some more information than maybe the AI does. I just saw this customer, they came into the store, or I saw them last week, out in the community. And so maybe I don't want to reach out because I have recently communicated with them. It was just outside of either my point of sale or Clientbook or what other information the AI is getting. Then you can decide. And so you could just quickly skip it and you give AI feedback, there's a little feedback flow where it just says, why are you skipping this? You hit a button and it's learning and growing as you go. So that's taking in that information and understanding why you're skipping that customer. Let's jump to the next slide here, because I think the most exciting thing is the actual results that our retailers are seeing from this. We've had this out in the market for a better part of this year, and we have a handful of customers, a good number of customers that are using this, have been using it both in beta and now that it's fully launched are using it. And so we wanted to share some of the results that our customers are seeing, and these are the real results here. So first off, those insights that are popping up, we've had over 19,000 of those insights being completed. And of those 19,000, what it's resulting in is over 375 purchases that came directly from what the AI was recommending, and over $1 million in attributed sales. My favorite way to look at this is to say, okay, so every time someone hits send or completes an insight, how much money are they making? And on average, for our retailers, every time they say, yep, send it, they're making $50. And that's just from our attributed sales divided by the AI tasks completed. So that's pretty exciting. It's over $52 across all the customers that are using this right now within Clientbook. So the value's there. It's so exciting to see these results, because we don't want to just put features out there into the world that aren't going to drive real world results for you and for your team. And so as Ryan was mentioning, when it comes to the holiday season, you're going to have foot traffic coming into your store that you're not going to have to drive. But to make sure that you're having true impact this holiday season and hitting the goals that you're setting, AI Insights is a really, really easy way for you and for your team, even though you're busy, to just be able to pull it up first thing in the morning. It's got a few insights for you. You hit the button, and it's almost like automatic money that is being pulled into your store just by hitting the button. Let's go to the next case study here. So one of the customers that was in beta for AI Insights was CD Peacock, a jewelry retailer. Some of you may be familiar with CD Peacock. And one of the things that we saw, so they were using Clientbook before AI Insights and then using Clientbook after AI Insights. And we looked at their sales staff across their entire sales team and said, how many unique customers on average is an associate reaching out to in a day at CD Peacock? And prior to using AI Insights, it was about 4. So each salesperson in CD Peacock was interacting with 4 unique customers per day. By turning on AI Insights and it prompting them to say, hey, here's a customer we think you should reach out to, that number quadrupled. It went from 4 to over 16 unique customer engagements per sales associate per day. And so the results are, not only is it driving money for the store, but it's also driving engagement with your customers. It's driving engagement between your sales staff and your customers, and helping them really to reach out to exponentially more customers than they were able to do. This here is a quote. I'm so excited about this tool. It allows our sales associates to make more, sell more, and build a bigger book of business, which it truly is seen. Wanted to share one more case study with you. This was Rasmussen Jewelers, another one of our customers that started using AI Insights. And what was so exciting was how quickly they started seeing results from AI Insights. So they signed up for the AI Insights on October 3rd. We enabled their feature that same day. And between the 3rd and the 10th, their sales staff had completed 109 activities. So they're hitting the button, they're saying yes, maybe skipping a few, right? Changing the message or whatever, but sending those messages and reaching out to those customers. And by October 15th, so fewer than 2 weeks later, they had already had 3 new sales that were driven by AI Insights. And some of those were high ticket sales, custom rings. And so really exciting to see how quickly they were able to see results. This wasn't something that they had to sign up and then wait months and months before they saw the ROI on this. It was very quickly. So even if you were to sign up with AI Insights today, then we'd be able to get this turned on for you, and you'd be able to start seeing the results coming through this holiday season. All right, I think that's what we had here for our presentation. We're so excited to be able to share these results. I know we had a webinar before talking about AI insights and when we were first launching AI insights, but it's so exciting for us to be able, for me and Ryan, to be able to come back on here and share the results with you guys of what it's actually doing and how much of an impact it's having with our retailers. So now, Josh, we'll turn it back over to you to go through some Q&A.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, you two. So this first question that kind of came in, I feel like, Ryan, this would be a perfect one for you, especially being a store owner. I'm sure this is something that you and your team have talked about quite a bit. But one individual, Dave, is asking, since they've opened, they had a hard time collecting phone numbers, but they weren't providing the numbers. So they do have a lot of data. They have a lot of clients in their point of sale that just don't have phone numbers attached to them. And so he was asking, do you have any strategies to get more contactable customers into Clientbook? So maybe kind of walk through that process of collecting that information at the point of sale. Like how do you and your team collect more contact information?
Yeah, it's great question. And as you could see from all of this, you having data, you having contact information, data on your customers, that's what allows all this technology to work so good. So you have to start making it a priority. And what we've always done at Korean Jewelers is not interrogate people on getting all their data, but rather letting them know that we'd love to send them offers on their birthdays and anniversaries. Part of being a Korean customer is we track everything that you purchase, and we're able to service you, and there's a lifetime guarantee. And we walk them through all the benefits of having a customer profile at Korean Jewelers. This way, they're getting something. I'm not asking for something from them without providing the context as to why, and it's to better serve them. And I think that's just a conversation that you have with your team, and talk about the importance of capturing this. It'll never be perfect. You'll always have to remind your team on, hey, here's the reason why we want accurate phone numbers and we want birthdays and anniversaries. But it is something that you want to point out. And I would just encourage you to do it in a way that is all about servicing the customer and not through an interrogation of like a form here, fill this out, and but rather here's all the things that you're going to get as a Korean customer.
Yeah, I'll add on to that because I think what Ryan is saying is the perfect strategy for your team to be able to get the customer comfortable with giving you that information. I think within the app there is the ability, we have kiosk mode, which makes it really easy. So when your sales staff understands the why of why they're doing this, they're able to communicate it in a way that isn't interrogating, but makes the customer feel really comfortable, like Ryan is saying. Then all they have to do, let's see if you can see it here, is here in the app, just in this top corner, they hit this little icon and it puts your app into kiosk mode, right? And this is all customizable. You can set this in your settings. Your CSM can help with that. And right there, they'll put in their name, their number, maybe birthday, anniversary, whatever you want. You can include some potential tags. When they check this box, they're just opting in to receive text from you, and then they just hit the sign up. And it's really easy, makes it not very awkward for your staff or for the customer. In fact, if you're helping a customer on the sales floor, you take Ryan's approach, you say, here at Korean Jewelers, part of being a Korean client is we want to follow up with you. We want to make sure you're having a great experience. We want to reach out to you around, life events in case you're looking for a gift. So I'm going to run back real quick and grab something from the point of sale, or go put this information in, or go look in the back, see if we have your information or your product ready for you, right? Maybe they came in to get it repaired or cleaned or whatever. Let me go back and get it. While I'm doing that, would you mind just putting your name and phone number in here so I can contact you in the future, and just turn around and give them kiosk mode, right? Makes it really simple and really easy, and one of our features at Clientbook that a lot of our customers love.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, really great suggestions. And I just want to tack on before hopping into the next questions as well. I mean, each of our clients have a dedicated CSM. So we would love to chat with you, make sure everything is set up and configured how you want it. So that way you're getting the best, out of Clientbook. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll make sure that you guys are taken care of. The next two questions that kind of came in, Brandon, these are a little bit more the technical side of it, kind of like peeling back the layers a little bit of the AI insights. The first question was about, does AI insights work being integrated with the edge point of sale? And then the second part of that is, how does it like segment the customers, right? Does the AI put the customers into specific categories? Like, have they lapsed? Are they new? Are they known, et cetera? Maybe peeling back a little bit more about, what is our AI insight tool doing?
Yeah, sure. So yes, the answer is it does integrate with the edge or any of our point of sale integrations. So if you have a point of sale integration through Clientbook, yes, it works wonderfully for that. And then the second piece is, how is it categorizing the customers? There are dozens of categories. So I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, and some of them, we're also learning some new things every day of how it's categorizing them, right? But things that are pretty common are things like, hey, this is one of your VIP customers, right? So let's keep the relationship warm there with your customer, with your VIP customer. It's categorizing them based on how frequently they're making purchases. It's categorizing new customers that have spent a lot of money on their first purchase with you. And so those are just a handful of the ways that it's going through and kind of categorizing your customers and thinking about how to categorize them. But there's dozens of these and dozens of ways that it's splitting and looking and going through the data.
Perfect. And if I could just add on to that a little bit too, Brandon. So one thing that I really like about our development team, and Brandon kind of mentioned as well, we're always looking to like innovate it and make it as better as possible, as good as possible. So when we initially launched this, one big thing of feedback that we got from clients is like, hey, it'd be really cool if it would recommend based on like birthdays or anniversaries, like those special life events. So that's something that we've taken to account when we've now prioritized that as well. So yeah, our AI insights will let you know, like, hey Josh, like Tori's birthday is coming up. My wife Tori, like her birthday's coming up. Like, let's plan something. Let's make this like a special day for her. And so based on those life events, those different things are ways that we're innovating it. Another question, this may be a good one for you, Ryan, is so they're a relatively new store. They've been open since 2022. And we have a tough time getting a response or engagement from the clients. What would you recommend a few things to how we can get more engagement from our clients through Clientbook?
Yeah, great question. So I would maybe audit some of the messages to your customers and think back to earlier in this presentation of what does this message look like? How personalized is it? Does it in any way look like it might be coming from a computer rather than your sales associates or yourself? And is it engaging? So that's kind of step number one. I'd also say that if all you ever do is reach out to your customers to solicit sales, that is something that isn't quite earning their trust and or responsiveness from them. So I've always recommended, there has to be a handful of reach outs to your customers that have nothing to do other than creating the most high fidelity environment you can for them to service them and to make sure that they're happy. And that is why AI Insights isn't all about driving sales. It's about driving relationships and building those relationships with your customers. So I would make sure that that is in the mix. And then last little structure part of a reach out, it's nice to end with a question. Just end the reach out with a question. And that, what I found, gets a very different response than a statement from you. So those are just some handful of things that I would look into in your outreach to your customers.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for those responses, and thank you so much, you two, for your time. For anyone that's still in this webinar, we'll be sending a follow-up email with the recording of this webinar. So if you want to refresh it or want to go over anything that we've talked about as well, I'll also make sure that your CSM is notified that you attended. But we would love to see you in future webinars. I do believe with how busy the holiday season coming up, this is going to be the last one for 2024. So, but we'll look forward to starting up our webinar series again in early 2025. But Brandon, Ryan, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks everyone for coming. Best of luck to you this holiday season. Let's go crush it together. We want to celebrate with you when at the end of the holiday season when you've hit all your goals.
Going to be a big year, guys. Just reach out to those customers, invite them into your stores, and happy holidays to you and your teams and your families. And thank you so much for being customers at Clientbook, and talk soon.